Hello, friends. Welcome to the Drive Fitness program. My name is Tom Driver, and today my guest is Cory McKane. Cory is the founder of WeStrive, the personal training app. It's an all-in-one app for personal trainers to manage their clients. They also have a WeStrive for Clients app, but their focus is primarily B2B, working with trainers and providing a platform for the personal trainers. So if you are a personal trainer, I'm not sure if you use an app to manage your clients currently, but I've checked out the WeStrive app and I was completely blown away. I have a huge appreciation for what Cory's been able to put together with his team. It's super impressive. So Cory and I had a lot to discuss. We talk about his own personal fitness journey and journey as an entrepreneur, how his app has grown over the years. We also discuss what features work well in a fitness app, what features don't. You can follow WeStrive app on Instagram at WeStrive app. And if you click on the link in their bio, you can find more information for trainers, find links to their iOS and Android app, and follow their blog. And if you're not a personal trainer, well then go check out our app for a gamified fitness experience. And if you end up using it, please let me know, DM me on Instagram or something, and let me know so I can keep up with you for possibly some user feedback. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the episode. What is your background? Like, what did you study leading up to building the app?
Yeah, I actually have my accounting degree. So basically everything that I did prior to the app has nothing to do with the app as far as education goes. I do have a big background in fitness. I mean, I worked out for pretty much my whole life, whether it was sports growing up and then weightlifting in high school. I've done weightlifting competitions. I did a gym owner mentorship for like a year or two where I was like learning what it would be like to be a gym owner and seeing the behind the scenes. I've done like weightlifting competitions, bunch of friends that are personal trainers. So super into fitness and just every element of it. But I wasn't ever like a coder or developer as far as tech goes. And I was never like a, personal trainer per se, like officially. So kind of a random background, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted to build my app before I even picked my degree, right? It's kind of a hard to choose because, there's a huge business element and then a technical and fitness like you were talking about. That's why I was curious which one you chose. So, wait, you mentioned you shadowed someone who owned a gym or a program. That sounds super interesting. What is that called? What was that called?
I wasn't called anything. I just did it. I don't know. I just knew this guy. Actually, the guy that lived behind me is a good family friend. He owned both the Golds in my hometown of Wenatchee, Washington. He owned the Golds in Wenatchee and the Golds in East Wenatchee. And essentially, what's actually crazy is no one really knows this, but are you familiar with the Gold's Gym Challenge, like the competition that Gold's Gym does? Or maybe they don't do as much anymore.
Not like the details, but I know that they have challenges. But
yeah, so like it was probably early 2000s through the 2010s, maybe like midway. They don't really do it much anymore. But it was like one of the first challenges, like that gyms do. Like gyms do challenges all the time now. Before that, you were just kind of like at the gym, and that was it. Like you didn't really do much. And Gold's Gym was obviously like booming in the 2000s. And my neighbor is actually the one that started the Gold's Gym Challenge, like the worldwide competition. So he did it. It was him and then another gym on the East Coast, because I'm from Washington State on the West Coast. Him and another gym would challenge each other. And then they started, just doing that. And then all of a sudden other gyms picked it up. And then all of a sudden the Gold's Corporation picked it up. And then so he basically created that whole challenge. So it was cool to like be mentored by him. And I essentially would just sit down in their meetings and like look at I didn't know what the numbers meant at that point. I was like 16, but I would look at their financials and I would just kind of figure out like what it was like on a day-to-day basis. And so got super involved in the gym process. And then I don't know, at some point I was like, I don't want to do this. It's too much competition. It's stressful. But yeah, that's kind of what I did in high school.
At that time, you were thinking about opening up a gym?
Yeah, I got really into weightlifting. And so I thought it would be something that I wanted to do. And again, I don't remember at what point I decided I didn't want to be a gym owner, but I remember thinking like it just was so stressful. And there's always just gyms popping up. And so I realized at a pretty early age, like how competitive that space is and how stressful it can be. Because especially like around that time, CrossFit was popping up everywhere, like in 2010 ish. So pretty much there's just like CrossFit gym. And then I noticed our local gym was losing members to these CrossFit gyms. And I was like, this sounds like just stressful, like crazy. So I decided I didn't want to be a gym owner at that point.
How do you think that compares though to certain other fitness apps that you have to compete with? Does that scare you less than, different gyms popping up because the gyms are just so location based? They can take your like the members in that area.
Are you asking how I would compare competitor apps to if I were to my app versus if I was a gym owner? How
I guess why did you feel more safe going the software side than the gym ownership side?
I wouldn't say I feel more safe at all. Actually, I would say probably less safe. But I made the decision to create a fitness app when I was like 22, and then our new platform I'm 28 now, so I started our new platform around 25, 26. And so when I was looking at gym owner mentorship, I was like 17. So I think a 5 to almost 8-year gap would definitely switched over. But I would say it's definitely way easier to own a gym, like by far. But the benefits and the scalability just aren't even close. So like the risk reward, I could easily any day get crushed by another fitness app, but the potential of the reward and how many people I can affect and how much we can, potentially hopefully exit for at some point on a financial standpoint is just way higher than just owning a couple gyms, So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's not why you chose the other path. It was just like you could scale out the app more and you could reach more people that way. So the risk was worth it, like on this side.
Yeah. And I mean, it started off, I had nothing. I didn't even know what we were doing. We kind of just started off. I wanted to make a really fun fitness app where you could find programs on a marketplace. And then that turned into one thing led to another. And then all of a sudden I have investors. And then all of a sudden, like friends are putting tens of thousands of dollars in. And then I'm putting all this money in. And years later, I'm like pitching at competitions. And so it kind of was just one thing led to another. I didn't start off. I thought I would be like a millionaire in a year kind of a thing. That definitely did not happen. It still has not happened. And it's just like a crazy journey. And I thought it was going to be, kind of a walk in the park, basically. So I started off very clueless, and it took me a long time to like kind of learn the ropes, I guess.
Yeah, man. I was just as naive to like starting my own business, but I feel like that's part of what it takes almost. Like you have to almost be like blindly naive to kind of push forward at times. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, you got to learn the lessons, I mean, it's people can tell you stuff, but until you actually like go through that process, it's a little different than just hearing it, yourself.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. So when you started the app, did you meet like a technical founder and the two of you guys work together, or how did you like actually build this first version that had just the programs that people could like just a marketplace for programs?
Yeah, that would have been ideal. I mean, that's pretty much everything that a startup founder wants in the first place. You either are the technical guy or you find one and you're just like buddy and you go off into the sunset. That wasn't my case. I'm from a small town in Eastern Washington. It's more of a small city, I guess, but there's nothing for 6 hours. You got Seattle 5 hours to the west and then nothing else for like a ridiculous amount of time. So there's not like a lot of tech where I'm from. I did like an angel pitch one time and it was all like real estate agents. Like there's just nothing really going on. And so, I mean, I started off and the first team I hired, it was just an absolute shit show. It was this, I still kind of know some of the people to this day, but it was like a local marketing agency that was great at marketing. And they had like 2 to 3 developers on staff, full or part-time. And I basically part-time hired those developers on like a contract basis to build my app, which you should never do. You should have people that are dedicated to you, or like these people that are dedicated to building apps and not just like working for an agency making their websites. And so, that's kind of what happened is I hired them. The app launched like 8 months too late. It was just miserable. And we didn't even have an Android version and no one cared. And so I kind of scrapped that one, moved to LA, ended up hiring a dev team out of Ukraine, and I've been with them ever since. So that was about almost 4 years ago now.
Okay, cool. So how did you like raise investments then before you even put together a development team? And then
but very little. In the beginning, I mostly self-funded this. I like waited tables, Uber, like pretty much anything I could, and just put in $1,000 here, 5,000 here, just wherever like money was coming from, I would put it in. And so that was how I funded it at first over time. And then I would get the occasional, I mean, it's changed over time. Like for example, back in 2016, 2017, when I was just starting off, and my totally different business platform, I would get, $2,000 checks from a friend or 5,000 from a friend or an
Mm-hmm.
investor. And then around like 2019, I started getting 10K and 15K checks. And now this year I finally have my actual B2B
Mm-hmm.
business that we're working on for personal trainers, which I run WeStrive. We're a SaaS platform, software operating system for personal trainers, nutritionists, health coaches, all that stuff. And so now we're getting checks for 25K, 50K, 100K. So it's a lot different. And so we're kind of in a different level now. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it took a long time to get here because I basically was working on the wrong business for so long.
Okay. Interesting. So at what point could you like leave your other job then and focus on WeStrive? Like how long has it been?
So yeah, it took literally 6 years. So I
Okay.
just in February, I officially quit doing. At this point, I was just kind of doing DoorDash part time, just kind of like here and there on the weekends. But
Mm-hmm.
I officially quit doing literally anything on the side and went full time on the app. So I'm paying myself very minimal from our investment
Mm-hmm.
funds, like on a monthly basis. But I'm an actual like salaried employee and all that fun. Definitely don't have any bennies, but it's a salaried employee, just living my life, and it's nice to kind of do this full time. So it's been about 4 months now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah, that's kind of like a dream come true for me too, right? Because I still
Mm-hmm.
have to like make money on the side, and I'm getting it up and running. So, like first of all, congratulations! Like that's a
Thanks,
huge
man.
success. I know a lot of people who have started companies and have not gotten to that point, right?
Appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah.
but the way you said it makes it seem like it's almost more stressful now, or is it like how is it to be on that side of the journey?
Yeah, it's stressful, and I enjoy paying myself, but I don't know. I hate it because it takes away a little bit of the adrenaline or
Mm,
ambition that I had, and so because when I'm running a business and then I'm having to drive for DoorDash at night and then like do wait tables on the
yeah.
weekends, like there's this grind and hustle part of it. And now, I mean, I still work like every 10 to 12 hours a day easily, but I'll take a weekend off or like it's fine. I can get some beers with the boys. Like, who cares? Like, so I take a lot more breaks now. And again, I'm working way more than 40 hours a week. So it's like, I've earned this, not insane work schedule time, but yeah, it's more stressful because now there's more people's money involved and
Mm,
more people are invested in the platform, both personally and financially. And so, yeah, I'm always trying to find ways to motivate myself to put in more work and, hustle harder, I guess, basically.
hmm. Yeah, it's funny. There's something about like being broke that keeps you very hungry, right? You
Mhm.
know,
Still
I
broke to
don't.
clarify. Still very broke. Want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Still very broke. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, broke on like someone else and being an employee, right? From for someone else, like
Hmm.
I'm basically still in that position, right, where I haven't raised any money, and it's
Hmm.
there is like an adrenaline to it, like you're like in fight or flight mode, right, where you have to keep getting, you have to work on nights or on weekends
Exactly.
or whatever, and yeah, there is something exciting about that, and it would be a little scarier to have people count on you, right, to return their
Hmm.
investments. What How do you manage your own fitness with all this? Because
Hmm.
I'm a lot better about this today, but I about a year ago got like a year and a half ago was like pretty out of shape for my standard, right? Just for someone who was trying to build like some fitness software, I should be in top shape, but I just found that like running the business and building software all the time kind of dragged me down. So do you have you run into that problem, or how do you manage it? you know
Yeah, and I didn't even really realize I was doing it because I think a lot of times, especially with men, like we go lift weights for 5 days a week or whatever, and
hmm.
in our heads we're in crazy good shape because we're like lifting weights and benching and squatting all that stuff. And I took a step back and I last so not this last, but so December like 29th of 2019, technically right before 2020, I ran a mile on a treadmill while I was back home in Washington, and I almost like died on the treadmill. I was so exhausted and miserable, and I was just kind of like, what, screw this. I'm done being out of shape. I'm sick of working out 4 or 5 days a week and not being in good shape. And so I was probably in that same shape where I had like a little bit of a stomach and wasn't that cut for probably, I want to say probably a year and a half to 2 years. I just didn't even really realize it. I thought I was fine.
Hmm.
I get lower body fat really, like around my stomach really bad. So
Hmm.
what I did was I started counting calories, using apps like MyFitnessPal, Lose It. Our WeStrive actually syncs up with Lose It now, so that's nice. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, I started running and I ran more, and it's 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, 7 miles, and so actually last year I ran a marathon
Oh,
during
shit.
during COVID. So I did the whole 26.2 miles. Basically died, but I got super emotional though, because on the run, I'd always told myself, I'm like, I could never run a marathon. I could never do it. And I did it. And it like broke my body basically, but it was cool. So I went from 217 to 197 at the time. And so I lost about 20 pounds, super in great shape last year. And then now I've kind of maintained the same thing where I'm about 206 now. So basically I have like a pretty consistent workout regimen. So Mondays I lift weights and then lift weights in the morning and then do martial arts at night. Tuesdays I do basketball. Wednesdays lift weights in the morning, martial arts at night. So we're at 5 workouts. Thursday lift weights, Friday lift weights. So I do about 7 workouts a week, and then I'll run like 5 miles on Sunday or something like that. So yeah, maybe 8 workouts a week, something like that. Yeah.
That's tough, man. Yeah. I recently just got my own trainer. I'm hoping to interview.
Oh, nice. Wait, are you a trainer yourself? I'm not familiar with your background.
So yeah, my background is in technology, right? So my degree is called Integrated Science and Technology. I like focus on computer science, and so
Gotcha.
I actually started like coding my app myself, right? And then I eventually got a partner who was a developer, and that's when I started, trying to learn the business end of things, which I still struggle with, right? And the fitness aspect is something that I've always struggled with on and off, because coding specifically is pretty much the opposite of working out. It's just like a completely different headspace. And
What languages do you code in?
So it's mostly web languages like JavaScript, but it uses something called Ionic, which is a multi-platform language, and it uses TypeScript. So it's very similar. Like it uses HTML, CSS, all that. So it's very similar to like a website language, but then we compile it down, and that keeps us just having one code base for Android and iOS. And then we have a Java backend. But I actually like my version of the app was only a front end. And so one thing's when I got a partner is that he helped me build our API and stuff like that. So
nice.
I code a little bit on Java, but mostly I just do the front end stuff. Like I come up with the ideas, I build it on the front end, and then he'll make sure it all works great.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to ask what languages your app uses. Is it native or?
So we code in Flutter. It's one of Google's newer mobile languages. It's also like a dual platform based.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, we used to be on Xamarin, but we started running out of developers that like know that. And so we switched to Flutter, much more modern language. And ironically, now we're kind of struggling to get Flutter developers because they're in such high demand over in Ukraine, where I outsource my team to. And then on top of that, there's just a lot of people that are still learning it. So a lot of our developers are like brand new to coding Flutter. So we have like one senior guy that kind of teaches them. And so,
oh wow,
yeah. But with Flutter's been great for us though.
Okay, when is that like brand new? Because I haven't heard of that.
It's relatively new. I'm not sure like what I don't know the date, but actually let me just Google it really quick. Flutter coding. I feel like it's maybe like initial release, I guess 2017, but I don't think it got picked up until probably I didn't even hear about it until August.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, that must I mean that still is relatively new for just, like existing, right? Is that so that's your front end language? Do you guys have like an API that you guys use, like a Java or like a Python backend?
Yeah, we're on Angular on our backend. And then I mean, I don't really know how else I don't go too far into the technical, so I don't know how to I
think Angular is a component of the front end actually, right? So I think that has to do with like Flutter must use Angular, right? Because Ionic, my app, uses Angular too. So our apps probably have very similar code structures, for the front. But I wonder your developers probably use a different language to do the database calls. I'm not sure, and they could possibly use Angular. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting that Flutter is compatible with Angular.
I don't know too much about how they kind of coincide, but yeah, that's as much as I know.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's held me back some from running the business side of things because me and my partner are both very technical, right? So, I mean, it makes it a lot harder when we don't have one guy who's just focused on business operations. So,
Yeah, but I will say like it's way easier to learn the business side than it is the tech side. Like
mhm,
we would be so far along if I could have just coded this shit all on my own this whole time. Like if I didn't have to
mhm,
wait for my dev team to release, because I'll work weekends, I'll work mornings, I'll work nights, I'll do everything. So
mhm,
the amount of time that I've spent doing random things, just waiting. Like, oh, I guess we'll update our FAQs. So I'm just waiting for our app to update. The amount of time I've done
mhm.
that is insane. And if I could have coded, it would have just been completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to stay away from it now, but it is nice. I can step in there and do some things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's certain
Yeah.
ideas I have for the front end that I can just go work on and then,
Mm-hmm.
Matt can kind of like make it all run efficiently, but at least I don't have to like express every idea, and have someone else take all those steps, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, I don't have a co-founder myself, but if I
mhm.
did, I would hope that they were technical or I was technical.
Yeah. Wait, how big is your development team?
The overall team of them that
Mhm.
I outsource to, and I've been with them like for so long that they've gotten huge, but they're about 100 employees, and then I pull around 8. So I have a lead web, and then what kind of like very like 4 hours a month web advisor kind of a thing over there. Another back end guy that's just absolutely amazing. We just hired a second back end web guy, so they've been crushing projects together, which is awesome. Quality assurance, project manager, and then 2 mobile devs. So I've got about team about 7 right now. Oh, and
Okay.
then a UX UI designer who's like stupid good. So I have about 8 people over there.
Wow. So it's a company that sets you up with these 8 guys. Like there's 100 people in the
Exactly.
company. Oh, cool,
Mm-hmm.
nice. So then they have better synergy and stuff. They've worked on projects before, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they've done a lot of like they all have different experience. So some of the employees have done like they're built their own apps before. Some of them are brand new to startups, and so like there's kind of all over the board, but they tend to be super kind of unified to want to make WeStrive better. And some of them even have like their own employee equity through WeStrive. So it's a pretty cool process to kind of have them all involved.
Nice. So then do you have any like business side employees here in America? Like have you started hiring like a marketing team or
I have a
anything?
social lead here. She's incredible. Her name's Rachel. She does all of our Instagram, and we don't really Pinterest, but we don't really do too much like Twitter or Facebook. So she handles all of our Instagram and I guess TikTok now, and she just kills it for me. I'm very what's the word? Not like
Great.
controlling, but like I'm like on you. I'm like I don't let people loose really that often
Hmm.
because I don't trust people to be able to do what they say they're going to do. My dev team, like I always
Hmm.
monitor what they're building, but I'm like, do your thing, like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then with social media, I ran our social account for almost 6 years, so until February, and I hired her in February, and I don't even approve of her posts anymore. I just let her do her thing, and she's just so amazing. And she does graphic design too, and so she's been a huge help. I have I have a blog writer for me in the Philippines, and another assistant in the Philippines for me as well. He kind of helps with random projects. I have a video editor in Bosnia, and I just hired a podcast editor for my new podcast coming out
Oh,
in
nice.
Venezuela.
What's the
Yeah.
podcast called?
I don't have a name for it yet, and I don't want to say my name because I feel like if
Oh,
someone sees this before it goes, they'll take my
okay.
name. So because it's a very like generic name, but we decided to not call it like We Strive just because we wanted to make it like around like fitness and that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
um, we're probably going to end up calling it something along the lines of like the wellness podcast, something like that, you know.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I'll be interviewing like fitness CEOs and personal trainers and nutritionists and all that stuff. And it's kind of like getting overall health and fitness conversations around business, essentially.
Nice, nice. Are you gonna like dabble in technical conversations or anything, or just you're gonna focus on just fitness and nutrition?
Maybe a little bit, but my old podcast I did about 100 interviews on. I would do all technical, like how'd you raise money, how'd you do your startup, and so I think this is for a different audience. It's going to be all about personal trainers and people that like to work out. So we're going to try
Hmm.
and focus it on like the actual like I want it to be about business, but also like the actual workouts and how to
Yeah.
like become healthier and all that stuff.
Because I'm doing something similar to, like, I guess maybe the old podcast you did, right? Where I just interview anyone that could help me on my journey, but that's pretty wide ranging. And I almost feel like I need a rebrand, because I feel like I got the word fitness in my podcast title, but I only interview someone about fitness like once every 5 episodes or something, like I
Yeah.
interview developers, I interview just, marketing experts or business minds, like
I would
even,
definitely rebrand it too. Cause like, for example, my first podcast was called the WeStrive podcast.
yeah.
And I ended up only interviewing, like, started off, I had like this guy that lost 200 pounds, and I had the VP of the NFL. So it was like still like fitnessy, but then then the next 80 interviews were all about tech and startups and entrepreneurs and all. So,
Yeah.
and then it didn't make sense to have it on WeStriveApp.com anymore. It was like, why is this on this website? This is a personal training app, and you have this podcast. So that's why I'm excited to relaunch it. I have this badass new website that I'm launching for the podcast, built into WeStrive, and so I'm really excited for it. But it's going to be specifically about fitness, and so that'd be my best recommendation is, like, if you're going to have fitness in there, it has to be about fitness. So I mean, I would maybe either change the name, or maybe start having more fitnessy interviews.
Yeah. I definitely have some fitness ones planned, but I might do a rebrand. We'll see, because it doesn't. And originally, right, the app was more about tracking your workouts, which it still is, but I thought the podcast would bring, like, attention to the app. And as I told you more, like, I'm focusing more on like the gamifications, like having like a storyline to the app, which requires like less input from people. And now I feel like, well, the app could bring some attention to the pod. Like, I don't want the podcast weighing it down by like keeping the brands connected, if the app can maybe be like quickly accessible now, because I just thought I had to get people interested in it with the podcast, like, prior to that. But yeah, that's cool, man. I hope it goes well.
Thanks. We'll see how it
what you're
goes.
starting.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
So I guess let's talk a little bit more about like the features on the app itself, right? When you said it started as just workout programs, would people track anything? Would they enter in like their weight and reps, or was it just like, here's what to do?
Yeah, so I mean, when it started, it was terrible. Like, so we'll get that out of the way. So we'll talk about the very last version of my original app, and then we'll talk about the current platform that we have now, which is targeting trainers, and before we were targeting consumers.
Yeah.
So our very first app, we had a ton of features actually. So we had the world's biggest marketplace for fitness programs. We had over 500 full length, 2 to 3 months, sometimes 6-month fitness plans. And you could cater them from over 250 personal trainers around the world. So you say, like, I want to work out 30 minutes per day. I want to do bodybuilding. I'm an intermediate lifter, and I want to train for 4 weeks, and I have this equipment. And then we go, boom, you have 5 programs that you can choose from. You can buy the program and then follow in the app. So you'd have the actual day-by-day schedule, week-by-week schedule. And then you could actually record your sets and reps in the platform. We had a journal in there. You could track your PRs, all this fun stuff. And
was that optional, or do they have to track like their
totally up to you? Yeah, if you want to just look at it, it says do 3 to 12. You can just do that. You don't, like, no one's forcing you to do anything.
Okay.
And that's actually what I hated about the bodybuilding.com app Body Space is you, like, every day it's like, how much do you weigh? How old are you? And it's like all this crap. And it's like, why am I entering this every single day? This is irritating. And so we skipped all that stuff. And then we had like a social media wall, which is stupid, that we deleted. And so, yeah, those were kind of the main features. And now that we're a B2B focusing on personal trainers, we have just like thousands of features, like it just never ending. We added 5 new features this week. We're going to add 10 next week. It's like every week we're adding a new feature. And so we do everything from, we have the best program building software on the planet. We have billing, we've got nutrition plans, in group inboxes. We've got, you can take notes, document storage. Literally, like, I can talk for days about all this crap that we put into here. So when I started this, I wanted to just make an awesome platform for personal trainers, and we ended up just creating like an all-in-one solution. And when you decide to be an all-in-one solution, you have to be all in one. You can't have like 80% of what people want. So to this day, we're still adding like things that we feel like trainers do want and that they need. And so every week we have a new quest and to make the app that much better, basically.
How do you manage all these features then and have it not be like confusing and complicated for the user, right? Because it sounds like it's not as simple if you have all these
Mhm.
features, like how do you manage that in the app so that they don't get distracted by features that only 10 people wanted, or.
Yeah, and that's the big exactly. And so, and I mean, a couple of things to that. Like, if only a couple. Now, I've been doing this for so long that if a trainer asks for a feature, I can pretty much immediately, one times out of 10, I'll go, "That's a genius feature. I can't believe we never thought of that." Actually, I'd say one times out of 100, that never happens anymore because we've been doing this for so long. I'd say 50 times out of 100, I'm like, no one else would want that. It's very specific.
Mhm.
And then 49 times out of 100, I'm like, that's genius, but like we've already thought of that, and we are going to add that to the app. And
Mhm.
then the 49 times out, or 50 times out of 100 that I'm like, not a good idea. If I start hearing that idea a lot, though, I'll go, okay, let's put that onto the feature list, kind of a thing. But as far as organization goes, I mean, trainers are always asking for new features. Have you used Figma before?
No, I have
Um,
not.
you should start using Figma. It's absolutely amazing. What do
Okay.
you currently do your designs on? Are you like on Vision or Keynote, or what are you doing?
So I will like just sit there and code my designs and like tweak them right there. So
Oh,
I don't
gotcha.
I
Okay.
don't mock up. Like I create most of the front end of the apps, and so like I'll actually
Gotcha.
code it in and play around with it myself. And
Gotcha.
so I don't really have to have like a mock up process. And then
Mm,
Matt, my partner, will come in and make sure that it's all working properly because he's more of a professional. But
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
so
Have you done any like wireframing or anything like that in the past, or?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so our wireframing goes insanely in depth. So we've got, I mean, our UX UI guide has transferred all of our wireframes from Envision to Figma, and we probably have 40 pages, and then each page has like anywhere from 10 to 100 just side by side designs. Like the settings button, what does that look like? What color is
Mhm.
it? Okay, now you clicked OK. What does the button look like? Like we have literally every single design done, and then I have my own entire Figma. Actually, I have two Figma documents. One's for like my actual like business stuff, and then one is, I want to say, 12 pages, and some pages have six new designs. I'm like, we need to add this, and this. And then some have like our nutrition update that we're going to hopefully launch like in October, November-ish, depending on coding times. That one's going to have, I probably have 100 different pages that I've coded. Like when you scan
Mhm.
the food, what does it look like? What does this recipe look like? So it gets really
Yeah.
chaotic and unorganized, and you're constantly, especially with like our budget, we we were spending about 5,000 a month on developers, which for my development team in the US would cost like 40 to 50,000 a month, if not
Mhm.
more. And now we're spending about 7,000 a month, so it keeps going up because we just keep adding more and more and more and more features. So it's very hard to organize, and you just have to kind of weigh what your users want combined with like what you think is going to make you the most money, essentially. And so like I'm
Mhm.
very much user focused, and I'm not as much money focused. I'm more like about making my users happy, which I think will in turn lead to us making more money. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a direct answer. It's a lot, and you got to try and be as organized as possible, essentially, on the journey.
Do you have like a system for feedback? Like, do you poll all your users, or do you talk to them individually? Like, how do you assess what your user base wants?
I talk to them individually, and I've been doing this for so long that I kind of just like, we probably have 400 features that we'll add in the next year and a half. And I pretty much could, if I had to, I could sit down and mentally just map out every single one and why they're more prioritized than the other, just because I've been doing this for so long. I know what our
Mhm.
users want, and then I'm talking with them on a daily basis. So I know what they want there too. But I have probably like 20 to 30 trainers that I'll speak with on a certain update and figure that out. And then with that being said, actually our big update, and like, or not big, we have a big update coming out, but semi big update, we're going to be adding forums to our platform. So we're going to have it, I was going to outsource it and just like code in another company's forum, but I was like, screw it, we'll build it ourselves. And so essentially we're going to have a updates tab where it'll be kind of like a little forum where I'll say, hey, we're going to launch this update, and then all of our users can comment and say like, I love this idea, or I don't love this idea, and here's
Mhm.
why. And so we're going to kind of like basically take Facebook groups but then build it inside of WeStrive so that we can kind of control the conversation, basically.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about having some sort of feedback in the app, right? Because it's
Mhm.
so hard to get people to use your app, and once they're there, it's like, oh, can you go to our Facebook page and click on our feedback link? I've been thinking a lot about how can I just start ripping questions off on the users, like just in the app, after a workout or
Mhm.
something, if they're willing to do it, because
Yeah.
it's so
It's
hard to
hard,
get
man.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's really difficult, and like getting them to answer questions is difficult. Like I mean, getting them to literally do anything is difficult, especially
Mm-hmm.
downloading an app. So, I mean, you can do pop-ups and surveys. I've always been a huge advocate that pop-ups and surveys kind of suck, and you don't actually get
Mm-hmm.
answers, and people just fill them out really quick and bounce. So like, I think just having tons of actual human conversations with your users is the best way to actually get feedback.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah. So you said you have about like 30 something trainers that you, I guess, have been using the app for a while, and you just go talk to them and see what these long-term users think about certain features and stuff.
Yeah, so we have a couple hundred trainers on the actual app itself, and then I have a pool of about 30 that they're very well certified. They know what they're talking about. They're tech savvy and they understand the training industry. So I can kind of go to
Mm-hmm.
them, and then I have a couple of users that will literally ping me every week with like an email saying this is feature needs to be changed, blah 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 blah, and like and I don't say blah 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 like in a rude way, like it's great feedback. It's like they're just go to town on these reviews. And so it's awesome feedback for me that I don't even have to like ask them. Sometimes they're like, Cory, I think you should have this. And I'm like, cool. I'm like, we'll do it. So
Mm-hmm.
when you get to a point where you have a really loyal early user base that just helps you essentially create the platform you're trying to build.
Yeah, I think that's a benefit too of going B2B, is that these are these people's companies now. So
Exactly. Well,
they're not
benefit
just
and
having,
also very stressful because
yeah,
like
yeah.
if you screw up, you ruin someone's workout. If I screw up, my trainer could lose a client and then maybe not be able to pay their rent at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a huge benefit, but also like adds a ton of stress. So to play off that point, like yeah, if you screw up, I'm like, well, whatever, I'll just Google it. Who cares? I'll do squats this way. And yeah, if I screw up, like literally, I have trainers that are like, hey, I just added this client this morning and now he can't follow the workout and the app broke. And like, I don't know, I'm just so stressed out and it's not working. And then I'm freaking out and I'm like, I don't want to lose this trainer. And more importantly, I don't want them to be pissed off at me and like leave the worst review ever. And so it's really stressful for sure. Like there's times where I've woken up at 4 or 5 a.m. to a UK trainer that can't get the app to work. And I have to just like troubleshoot basically until it's fixed. So there's a huge benefit to it. And there's also like a huge negative where like you could really mess up someone's life basically if you don't do it right.
Yeah, that's scary, man. What, like when you try to get new trainers, right? You're usually trying to get people who like are independent trainers. Or do you ever try to go like find a gym and have this entire gym adopt your app? Is that like part of maybe your future plans? Or for the most part, do you guys just want to be like a platform that helps independent trainers manage all their clients?
So we're about like, I'd say a month away, maybe a month and a half away from targeting small gyms.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. Basically, we just have a couple more features that we want to see implemented into WeStrive and just like made public. And once we do that, we're very confident we'll be the number one option for a lot of these smaller gyms. But I already have a couple of gyms I'm talking with that are interested. And I'm a meathead. I'm like 28. I'm not like this, this tech CEO like lookalike. So I'll have conversations with them, and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be some adorable app, whatever." And then I'll walk them through it. They're like, this is actually pretty legit. Yeah, let me know when X feature is live. And I'm like, cool. So yeah, we don't have a gym yet, but we have definitely a ton of gyms that are interested and that I've spoken with. And then we have a couple of like groups of 2 or 3 trainers that are part of our platform too. Essentially the feature that we're waiting on is our teams feature. And so that'll allow multiple trainers or AKA like a gym to operate kind of amongst each other in one spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do the gyms like they want ability for like even a manager to manage all the trainers within your app that manage all their clients? Is that
Exactly.
the kind of features? Yeah, that's complicated.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I already have the designs done and we can do it. It's just like, it goes back to our conversation about feature priorities. Like I've had the teams update designed and ready to go for like probably 8 to 12 months. And I just kind of keep pushing it back because it's just not a priority. And when we have the bandwidth and we feel like it's a priority, we'll go live with it. But it's just, we don't have enough trainers asking for it right now. So we just haven't added it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. The one other thing I want to talk about, which we talked about offline once, which is I asked you for advice. And the one thing you told me is not to go with the social features. So could you just give that whole spiel again? Like, why were you so against the social features? And because my partner was kind of bummed. He didn't want to take them off the app because I told him, I was like, hey man, I got this great advice, and he was like, no. So Why do you feel so strongly that it was better to remove, the social features?
And it's okay to have them if you're going to be like a primarily social app, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you do have them, they just have to be legit. Like you can't. I don't remember the exact advice I gave you, but basically, like if you're going to launch a social fitness app, people have standards. Like it'd be like if you launched, you're like, I'm going to launch a text messaging app, and then I'm like, okay, why can't I reply to this message? Okay, why can't I
Mm-hmm.
send a GIF? Okay, why can't I send photos? Like if you launch a half-assed feature that isn't up to par with the industry standards, you'll just get crushed. And so that's what we did
Mm-hmm.
is we launched our social feature. You could post images, but you couldn't post GIFs, and then you could post status updates with emojis, but you couldn't tag people. So like people just it wasn't up to par with what a text message could do or what Instagram would do or Twitter would do. So people just hated it. And so and then we didn't have find a friend, like find your friends. So if you don't have the find your friends function for a social app, then it's like, what's the point? Like you're just on there by yourself. Like who cares? We didn't have like in-depth messaging. So like messaging had the same limitations that our social wall had. So basically my advice, I don't remember what it was, but like I would just say now that if you're going to add it, it better be really good. Otherwise, it's going to make your app look really stupid, basically. So it'll take away from the rest of the features, essentially.
Yeah. No, I think we haven't taken it out yet, but I think we are going to, because I don't think that we should focus on bringing it up to par. I think you were saying you can't compete with the other social apps if that's their thing.
It takes a lot, man. It takes a lot. I mean, it's like, and so I took a step back after like 6 months of having our social wall for V1, like the very first, because I moved our social wall from our original app Perfect. And when we relaunched WeStrive for the very first time, I still had the social wall last year. And I was just like, who cares? No one cares. No one cares.
Yeah.
Like, and I took a step back and I was like, if I'm not posting on my own app on the social wall, that's supposed to be like promoting people for fitness, and I really don't want to post because it has limitations, then why would anyone else on the planet want to post? Like if you're not using your own app and you're the target market, then it's, I mean, I'm still using my own app to clarify, like to work out and stuff, but I wasn't using it, this entire feature. And so it's like, if I'm not using it, who would use this? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I laugh because there have been certain features we've implemented that have made me not want to use even some of the core features of my own app. And I'm like, okay, we got to get these out. I have to be happy with it, or else, what's the point? What's the point of all of it?
Exactly.
But yeah. And I think you just said that once you remove the social features, your user base was pretty happy,
Exactly.
or they weren't upset about it or anything. So
no one really noticed. No one noticed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice. I don't know if you have any questions about me or what I'm doing. I guess the only other thing I'm curious about is this nutrition feature. You're gonna try to, I guess, compete with MyFitnessPal. That seems like they have it down, man.
I mean, here's the thing is they might have it down as far as you can scan foods. But that doesn't do anything for the professional, the professional that's training you, or the nutritionist that's training you, or dietitian that's training you. You just follow your own thing, and they can't even prescribe you a nutrition plan in there. They can't prescribe your calories in there. You just kind of have to. They describe it. They prescribe that stuff outside of the app, and you have to translate that yourself into the app, and then you have to get that data out of the app back to them so they can transcribe it again. It just makes no sense. So basically, we're going to be building a MyFitnessPal or a Lose It built inside of our app. And then on our back end, we're going to have a full nutrition database and nutrition plan builder so that nutritionists and dietitians and all that stuff and trainers that are certified in that realm can actually build a plan, assign it, whether it's a specific eat an apple or it's have protein today, have this many calories. And then our actual app will show you how many calories you have, and you can kind of track down from your goals each day. So it's going to make the whole entire relationship for nutrition just 1,000 times easier for both the professional and for their users.
So, have you heard of Trainerize?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So I interviewed her on the podcast. This girl named Kayla. I talk about her every episode at some point. But she's a registered dietitian, and she managed my diet for 3 months. And she used an app called Trainerize, which helped her. Like you were saying, I guess there's certain limitations on MyFitnessPal. It connected to MyFitnessPal, and she was able to set those parameters and things in MyFitnessPal. And then I guess she had her own dashboard that was better for her and stuff like that.
So we have that same thing right now. So we do it. So Trainerize is one of our main competitors. We do the same exact thing, but instead of MyFitnessPal, we use Lose It. It's like a slightly better connection. Like it actually pulls data a little bit better, but same concept. So we do the same thing that they do, exact same thing, but like she
Okay.
can't. But she's still sending her clients like a PDF of the actual food to eat. Like she can assign macros and calories just like we can,
Hmm.
but that's it. Like she still has to externally be like, eat these foods and do this thing, and
Okay.
then the clients have to like, it has to pull the data and then go in. So it's just like there's 1,000 extra steps that are just unnecessary, and so we're going to put that all into one spot. And then on top of that, they Trainerize partners with this company. I can't remember their name. They're nutrition. They're like a nutrition plan builder as well. That like kind of like what we're building, but
Hmm.
they're trash. It's disgusting. I don't want to touch it. We have a lot of trainers that have used it, and it's like really gross. So we're going to build a better version of that for our nutrition plan builder, and also have the better version of MyFitnessPal combined in the same platform. So they're kind of like a
Okay.
best of both worlds kind of a thing.
So I kind of just realized why you don't like that system and she did. It's because she didn't prescribe to me anything to eat. She was very
Mm-hmm.
big on just managing like the macros, and
Mm-hmm.
I was basically allowed to eat whatever I want. You know, she
Mm-hmm.
she like would suggest eat more vegetables or things like this, but there was never a moment where she was like, eat this apple, eat this piece. You know, there was
Yeah.
no micromanaging going on. It was
Yeah.
mostly just overseeing my macros and then like making
Mm-hmm.
suggestions on the side. I don't know. I guess
And
that
we have a
might
lot of
be it.
trainers that do that too. That's totally fine. Like we
Hmm.
have that as well. At the end of the day, like you're still gonna have to like manually do that in a completely different app, and
Hmm.
so it'll just all be centered into the one platform basically. So like
Hmm.
worst case scenario, like the absolute bare minimum that you would get out of it is that you wouldn't have to have two different apps that are pulling from each other and then
Yeah.
like losing connection sometimes, and like you worst case scenario, you still have it all in one place and you can have one central dashboard for fitness and nutrition. And then best case scenario is a nutritionist can actually build you out a full nutrition plan. Because I know that she only wants to do macros, but I guarantee you, if she had our system, she wouldn't tell you to do like eat this, eat this, eat this, and this, but she would probably make some sort of very loose plan, like you're going to
Yeah.
have one protein and two vegetables, and then you would have the ability to customize what that protein was. But like she would still be like, you're not going to have fast food tonight. You're going to have a protein and two vegetables, and then
Hmm.
you would enjoy that because you would have the openness to go, okay, let me pick a protein. Cool, I'm going to do steak, or let me pick a vegetable. I'm going to do carrots.
Hmm.
So it gives them that flexibility. But like, yeah, bare minimum, they'll have those calories and macros that they can track.
Hmm. Yeah, she might have just been going easy on me too because I was unhealthy or I was eating unhealthy. So I don't.
And
Maybe she does
yeah.
get more intense with her advice as it goes on. But so you're not gonna have to use Lose It as well as your app. You just use your app, and but
Yep.
Lose It is gonna do something similar. You said to what MyFitnessPal does for Trainer Eyes. So does Lose It
Mhm.
take care of the whole database of food, right? Because or do you have does WeStrive have its going to have its own database of food? Because
We
that's
have a database. So MyFitnessPal and Lose It. I'm sure they have their own database somewhere, but we partnered up with this company called. Uh, Give me one sec. I'm thinking of
yeah,
so many names right now that I just
it's
like
okay.
literally no, sorry, nutrition. Sorry, I had a different name in my head. We were going to partner with this one company for like 5 years, and I was so set on it. But the company or the CEO was a total dick to me and just kind of like blew me off. He's like, it'll
Hmm.
cost $30,000, and then he was rude. And I was like, well, I'm not going to give you 30 grand. So we're partnering with Nutritionix, which is an awesome company. They do all the food data for Fitbit, Weight Watchers.
Okay.
So we have a special partnership with them where basically we're going to be pulling all of their food data. They've got like
Yeah.
700,000 foods, like millions of recipes. So it's going to be a pretty awesome partnership. So yeah.
Because yeah, I built my own database of exercises, and bro, that was
Mhm.
one of the hardest things I've done. Not just like it wasn't
Yeah.
that hard to type it all out, but that is, I mean, we have like over like 1,000 to 300 exercises. It's just so tedious, you know.
Well, you typed them
And
out. I have 1,500, and they're photos and videos that we actually filmed, shot, edited, added transitions to, and then put into our database. So
yeah,
it's yeah,
I'm
it's a
doing
lot.
that. I'm doing that right now, but I'm building animate like animations. So
Oh,
like
gotcha.
some guy has to like I have to move the hand like and then it runs like
Oh,
a little
gotcha.
animated video. And so I only have like a little over 100 of those right now.
If you want
So,
to pull
but
videos, feel free to take ours, man. I don't care.
I mean, so I'm going with the more like video game aspect, right?
Gotcha.
Of a fitness app. So the whole animated character is like gonna be a big selling point for me. Like
Gotcha.
I'm eventually like the plan is like as you know go through these stories that we're building, you're gonna
Mhm.
unlock like different skins like for your character and different
Cool.
like it's gonna be more like it's going to be very video game focused, right?
I like
In the
that.
same way that like Fortnite or whatever will give you different skins and
I like that.
characters still unlocked.
I think that's cool. But yeah, so if you ever end up like you have the skins, but if you're like watch a video and want to add a link, like feel free to just pull from our database. I don't really, it's all on YouTube anyway, so you can just pull from it. So wouldn't bother me.
Word.
But yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, definitely cool.
Cool. I think you said you wanted to do an hour, so we got like around 5-10 minutes. Is there anything else you want to bring up or ask me, man? I mean, you are someone who is like a couple stages ahead of me doing exactly what I want to do. So, anything that if you have any advice or,
Just
wisdom,
keep hustling, man. Just keep hustling. I think my biggest wisdom is just like you're gonna get so many countless rejections, and then you're gonna eventually get like that yes. And so whether it's like 10 no's and then the 11th investor is yes, or like 1,000 partners say no, and then that 11,000 or 1,001th partner, 1,001st partner, yeah, 1,001st partner is gonna say yes. So like you're gonna get a ton of no's. Just wait for that yes, and just don't let it affect you personally. Like not everyone is a target customer, not everyone's an investor. Like you just kind of like it'll just happen, and don't let any of that kind of stuff like that negativity like affect your day or get into your personal life, even though it will. But just don't let it affect you like to the extent that it should. Basically, that it should. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I don't know. There you go. Yeah, and
cool.
I guess my second thing would be I think you guys should start wireframing. I know you like to go in and code, and that's way faster, but like you're kind of doing that on the fly. And I think having those wireframes laid out gives you an actual plan. And I'm definitely not where you're at as far as just like building on the fly, but there's another end of the spectrum on this side where it's like every single detail is planned out like to the T. And I'm a little bit more towards you where like I have all the details, but like maybe I'm missing a few, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Like we'll get it on while we're building it. But I think you need to move more in this direction where you have them actually planned out, and like you have the settings button planned out, and it's not just like in your head or like on a piece of paper, but you actually have it like boom, like on a flowing wireframe document, basically. That'd be my advice.
Yeah, I do that sometimes retroactively. Like I'll build a feature, then I'll take a screenshot and I have them laid out in a way, but that's not how I plan ahead usually, just because I can code. But you're right. Like that is one thing I'm doing that like there's a couple things I'm doing that are not scalable at the moment that I need to adjust before I start building a team, because it's just me and one other guy right now. So it's like there's like agile development, right? I call it explosive, development. It's just we get an idea and we just run with it. We just make it all work, and it's definitely that style is not going to work if we get a team of 5 or 6 developers in here.
And so, you have no evidence or proof of anything that you've ever done. So like if I'm a developer and I join your team and I'm like, hey, where are your wireframes? Like, where are you guys built? And you just like, this is it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, where is it? And instead of like, what if you wrote down all of your designs and you're like, this actually doesn't make sense. And you could have done that in 20 minutes instead of like actually coding every single page and then going, oh, now it doesn't make sense. So like, just basically building that base initially before going live with it, or before like coding it, it just would save you guys a ton of time and give you a lot more structure moving forward, basically.
What software do you use like to keep track of all your wireframes?
Figma, baby. Figma all day. Figma. And I use, do you use Canva at all?
Yeah, I use Canva for our social media. I just started.
Awesome. Yeah,
it made the world of difference.
It's insane. I use Canva for their phone and iPad and computer templates. So they have you can go to their not templates. They're like it's like icons or elements or whatever, and you can just type in phone or whatever, and then you can pull the phone over. And then if you have a screenshot of like the size of a phone screen, and you can just drag it into the phone. Yeah. So then it's so much time saving instead of having to like crop it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I use smart mockups for that. But
that's what I used to use, and that takes forever because you have to download it and then like copy it over. And this one you just go like that, and it's done. Yeah, automatic. It saves me so much time.
So smart mockups actually integrated into Canva for me. So nice. They have some deal there. But do you use Canva Pro then to like?
Yeah, but it's like $12 a month. It's literally 10,000% worth it. I use Canva every single day. I'm like the biggest Canva advocate. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
No, yeah, my actually the last interview I did, this lady named Sarah told me I should start using Canva for my social media for so you're lucky, right? When I post a photo of this, it's gonna look better than it used to just be like a
Boom.
screenshot of me and a person like on like the camera. It looks
Nice.
so bad. But I switched over to Canva, and yeah, I mean, our like if you look at like my last 2 or 3 social media posts are just like way better than anything that came before it. So
Welcome,
I
man.
might
Welcome to the world.
I might have to go pro, because I'm already paying for the smart mockups, that's probably like
No.
$10 a month. Yeah, I
Yeah,
should
do
probably just,
Canva. Yeah, man. Because you get with Canva, you unlock all of the assets they have too. They have thousands of amazing
yeah,
photos and icons, and it's like it's not worth it to not be able to use those.
yeah, yeah. I was putting together some like screenshots for this like story I told you we're building, and
Mhm.
they have really good just like images all over the place.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the advice, man. Thank you for coming on.
Of
I
course.
hope that, you guys continue to grow, and I hope this podcast goes well. That's pretty exciting, man.
Thanks,
Um,
man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited for it. And this was a great interview. So thanks for having me on.
oh yeah, of course. Yep. Have a good day.
Take it easy, man.
Peace, Cory. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Drive Fitness Program. I just want to remind you guys that you can check out Cory's app called WeStrive on the iOS and the Android store. But again, the target audience is for trainers. So if you are a personal trainer or thinking about becoming a personal trainer, you can follow at WeStrive app on Instagram, and the link in their bio will send you to their website where you can sign up for the trainer platform. And for everyone else, don't forget to check out the Drive Fitness app. I really, really appreciate all of you guys for listening. Thank you so much, and